is Sirish and I represent ALF Green Consultants. Today in this session we'll talk about edge and how edge can help in terms of greening the buildings across various portfolios or typologies for that matter. The agenda is like we have the introduction to edge first, and we'll talk about the different certification levels on edge, and we'll have a brief run through on what edge app is and what are the benefits of edge and what is edge all about and why edge is required. Introduction to edge. And a typical building life cycle from the design stage to the operations. Typically these are the stakeholders which are involved. Now, what is EDGE per se? EDGE is a global green building certification system which focuses on resource efficiency like materials, water, and energy. It's a cost-effective way to reduce the carbon footprint because it focuses on the resource efficiency, and it compares a typical a conventional building to a green building. In terms, a conventional building is something which you talk about as a base case building where the local guidelines and the local regulations are used in terms of designing that. And in addition to that, it also helps us to choose the green building strategies and calculate the financial and the environmental impacts. And the financial impacts could be in terms of the return of investment, in terms of the incremental value to build to construct a green building, and also the environmental impacts in terms of your carbon emissions, carbon savings, and so on and so forth. Moving next, this is the landscape of typologies what EDGE supports per se. This includes both existing and new buildings. It's from residential to any type of commercial building, and EDGE is there everywhere. Now let's talk about the certification levels. EDGE has got 3 certification levels. The first one is level is EDGE certified, wherein it's 20% plus savings in energy and water will have EDGE certified. EDGE advanced is EDGE certified plus 40% plus energy savings will lead to EDGE advanced certification. And the third one is zero carbon, wherein the project has to be EDGE certified to start with 100% renewables and purchase carbon offsets. The renewables could be on-site or off-site per se. In terms of certification flow, there are 3 steps. First is to design your project in EDGE app, and then click for the Apply Certification tab. Once it is done, you have to hire an auditor, or you could always request the certifier to assign one. Then the certifier will provide you the commercials for the certification. The second is, once the project is registered, you have to provide the required documentation and the designs. And once you are ready, you could go to the dashboard and then start the certification workflow. The third one is to validate. Once the project is assigned a preliminary certificate, you could go back to the step 2 for the post-construction, where you would upload any fresh designs, any design changes, and the documentation required at the post-construction stage in the EDGE app. Now, let's talk about the preliminary and the final certificate. Once the project is registered, the design documents at the design level are submitted, and this is where the design audit is done based on the documents which have been uploaded into the EDGE app. The design audit typically takes somewhere between 2 to 5 months, and post which a preliminary certificate is issued. Now, the validity of a preliminary certificate is 36 months from the date of issuance, or 12 months after practical completion of the project, whichever happens to be earlier. Once the project is constructed, then the client could apply for a post-construction certificate, where a site audit is conducted to verify the measures which have been claimed through EDGE app. The timelines here are 1 to 3 months. However, the timelines are all, whatever has been shown here are tentative, and this again depends on the type of the document, the quality of the documents which have been uploaded. And it's imperative to mention here that it doesn't include the construction timelines. Now, in terms of the retrofits, For a retrofit project, the project can go to EDGE final certification directly, where you could do an assessment in terms of what all retrofits you intend to do, and then get an understanding on what type of savings, what type of financial impact you have, and what sort of an environmental impact you're going to have on that. And then based on that, you could register your project and submit the documents for the retrofitting aspect. Here, a design audit is done for the documents, and also a site audit will be done, based on which a certificate will be issued. Typically, it takes around 3 to 8 months. Again, these timelines are tentative. This might vary from project to project. Now, this is a typical EDGE certificate, what you see here. This is in one single page, you've got all the green parameters, green finance parameters, which have been, indicators rather, which have been mentioned here. This could be used as a proof of compliance, or for your reporting, or it can fulfill your reporting requirements as far as the ESG is concerned, the E part of the ESG. Now, what all does it show here? One is the operational energy savings, water savings, and also the material savings. Apart from that, it also talks about the carbon footprint savings and the carbon footprint the building is generating. Now, quickly, let's run through what EDGE app is. Now, EDGE app is something which is available online, free for everybody to use. It's available on all platforms, in the sense, a laptop or a mobile, or for that matter, on your tab as well. Now, once you register in the EDGE app, this is the launching page after you log in. And to your left, you see all the typologies what EDGE supports. So for this presentation purpose, we have chosen as industrial as one of the typologies. Now, once you select the typology and everything, in the EDGE app, the design tab is what you see, where you have details on the version of what version of EDGE app you are using. Here it is 3.0, and at what stage is the project going for certification, whether it's a preliminary or a post-construction. Now here it is a post-construction stage certification. Now if you look at here onto your left, there is a building type, and then you have the location details. Building type here we have chosen industrial, and the subtype is warehouse. And below that we are talking about the location, where it is the country and the city is mentioned. Now, the moment you have select the country and the city, the base values pertaining to that location get activated or uploaded into the EDGE app. Again, staying with the design tab, you have project details, sub-project details, and the building data. Now, a project is a superset sort of a kind of a thing where you have multiple sub-projects of different typologies, and at this level you get the whole project information. A project is typically from one certifier and one owner, and that's how you have multiple sub-projects under that. And a sub-project is a portion of a project where you separate model it separately, and then you have the data pertaining to that only as long as you model that specific model, not the other sub-project which you model. Building data talks about the built-up areas, the number of floors, the operation hours, and the occupancy, and so on and so forth. Now we move on to the energy tab here. On your left, you see all the measures, the energy measures in terms of WWR, the insulation, the reflective paints, and the type of material you use for envelope and everything. The user is free to use, select one of the measures which is implementing in the project. Now, for each of those measures, if you look at it, onto your right, there are 3 dots which are there. If you click on the 3 dots, then you have 2 things which pop up. One is the type of documentation and the nature of documentation that needs to be submitted. And based on the type of the measure, there is also an online calculator where it will help you to do the calculations and then submit it on the EDGE app. In addition to that, that measure, if you click on the measure, it takes you to the reference guide, which gives a detailed explanation of what that measure is all about. This gives a clear understanding as to how to proceed and what sort of aspects does the measure address. Now, going back to this emissions part of it in the EDGE app, the moment we select the renewable energy, what you see here on your left, you have a renewable energy feature which has been selected. And the moment you do that, you can see on the base case and the improved case, the amount of carbon emissions which have been saved. Right? If you see here, it's 806.2 tons of carbon dioxide per year, which has been saved here. Now, one point which I missed, talking about in the earlier slide, was the base case and the improved case here. Now, in the base case, as I was mentioning earlier at the start of the presentation, it is the local regulations and local standards based on which the model is generated. Then on top of it, once you apply the green measures, right, then you can see the improved case. Right now, there is a color coding also which is done for a clear understanding as to what area of the energy in terms of heating or cooling or fans or motors, how much of energy is being consumed. So that gives a clear idea to the user where all, what all areas he could use and play around in terms of reducing it. Now, in terms of water, again, you can select your measures for the water faucets, for showers, and then also for the closets. And for each of these measures, there are certain threshold values which are mentioned, and it is imperative that you are much less than those threshold values. The idea is to, get as much as savings possible. Now, if a user or if a project is looking for more additional sort of savings, then they could look at having a treatment plant like black water and gray water, which will obviously increase your savings considerably. Now, in terms of materials, again, the client has access to, the user has access to choose the type of slabs, the flooring, and the building envelope materials here. And the reflection of the savings can be seen on the graph on the right-hand side, the bar charts. Now, if you look on the top, there is the figure which is mentioned as 3.9 percentage. This is basically the incremental cost incurred to construct a green building when compared to a conventional building. Right, so that is the incremental cost which is incurred, and this capex, when it is matched with your utility cost savings, compared to your cost savings, it gives you the payback period. The payback period here, it is showing it as 4 years for that 3.9% capex increase in your construction costs. Now, this slide talks about the impact reporting in terms of the savings of you get in terms of energy, water, and materials. It also talks about your incremental cost, your payback, right? And it also talks about your utility cost reduction when you model and when you design a green building per se. And it also talks about the carbon tracking, where the amount of carbon emissions the building is generating and the savings also it is doing on the carbon emissions. Now, the most important question, why do we have to go for EDGE as a certification system? EDGE, if you look at the global reach, it is being used in 100+ countries, and it's got impact on all these countries across a global scale. And in terms of the footprint, if you look at EDGE has been growing gradually, and for the past few years, the growth has been pretty rapid across various countries across the globe, and India happens to be having a footprint of 13%. These statistics are as of H1 2023, year 23, the first half of year 23. Now, the footprint of India is 181 million square feet as on 2024, out of which 100 million square feet has already been certified. In the remaining 81 million square feet includes projects which have been registered or which are in audit process. Now, why EDGE is what we are trying to understand. It's got an international acclaim because of the brand it's got of World Bank brand it's got. Second thing is, additionally, if the project goes for EDGE certification, it also sends out a clear message from the organization that they're committed to the sustainability, and also it elevates the projects to a global level for a global recognition. In terms of cost calculator, it helps you to choose the best available measures, thereby cost-effective implementation can be done. And typically, it is seen that the incremental cost is somewhere around less than 2% to build an asset which is green. In terms of focus on energy efficiency, EDGE takes a quantitative approach, and which for reducing, reducing the resource consumption for energy, water, and embodied carbon in materials. In bioclimatic modeling, EDGE has got a localization aspect which we spoke about. Once we select a specific city in a country, that basic data is what reflects in the base case. And in addition to that, it also integrates the climate and the life cycle data across various cities across the globe. Streamlined process, it is a tightly integrated process from the time, from the design stage to the post-construction stage. And it also reduces the time in terms of the certification, because most of the data which is already available and that needs to be uploaded on the EDGE app. And then why does, last but not the least, why does EDGE matter and how to whom? Now for builders and developers, it helps in reducing the cost of the construction, because at the design stage itself, they will be able to understand, use the efficient energy measures for and materials, so that they can plan for their cost reduction at the design stage itself. In terms of market differentiation, certified green building stands out when compared to a conventional building, and it attracts tenants and your investments who are sensitive to sustainability per se. For architects and consultants, it's a design innovation. At the design stage, the architects can use various options which are available in terms of optimizing the building performance and also design efficient buildings. For facility managers, any building which is certified green has got low operational costs, and also the low operational costs and the maintenance costs are also pretty low, while also providing comforts, also providing a good comfort for the occupants of the building. With this, I come to the end of the presentation. If you have any specific questions, maybe I can address it.
Prasad Rao, Director of AltCosNet's Sustainability Advisors. I guess I have one comment and one question. The comment concerns material efficiency. You seem to have detailed a paradigm that measures and estimates water use, electricity, and various other utilities and construction materials.
So could you put the mic closer, sir?
Yeah. We have something that is close to what you have. We have a circularity score, closed cycle circularity score. And that score could be modified to include this energy, water, and material, and obtain an estimate that permits you to compare circularity across buildings, adjusted for size and adjusted for property values also. So that's the comment. The question I have for you is, what is the leverage from these enhancements when a realty firm constructs a building and engages in all your recommendations, accepts and implements these recommendations? What is the leverage in the market? Does the property obtain better property values? Does it increment precinct property values? Does it attract households with better income? Could you enlighten us on that?
Now, in terms of the property's value, obviously, if it's a leased out space, or if you're trying to sell some property, obviously you will get that delta X extra price, because since it's a green building, the the OPEX obviously will be much lesser in the long term. So obviously the delta X rental values or the sale value will obviously will be there. So that's proven as far as the market statistics are concerned.